So when I was in training, I was um, I was employed, but I ran the training company. And at one point, at our biggest, we had there were 21 of us, and 20 were trainers. So you can imagine the overheads. And with swanky offices on Salford Quays, and then 9/11 struck, and then the following year, or pretty much anybody who had an American parent company or American clients pulled their training. So it became, from being very profitable and stable, it became totally the opposite in a very, very short space of time. So I then decided to go freelance. So, and work out of my home, work from home, and I took some of the clients with me. I was, because I was better known as a training trainer down south, because that's where my biggest clients were. Um, I wasn't known in Manchester. And because of my circumstances at the time, I wanted to be more Northwest based. And so I joined the business network in Manchester to absolutely not to get business. It was my primary raison d'etre, as you would say, was to be in the know locally, be a familiar face, and learn. And um, that's exactly what I did. As it happened, I renewed my membership several times, but I always kept a track of where the business came from. And I made a lot of money from introductions from the business network. To be precise, in just shy of 8 years, £320,000 worth of business. And back in the day, I was £1,000 a day girl. So that gives you an idea of how much it was. But it was not from the people in the room. I had one introduction, sorry, I had one piece of work from a member direct, and that was a half-day awareness session. The rest was from introductions. Helen Bennett, the owner of the Business Network Manchester, decided to franchise the company, and I had an opportunity via an introduction to launch an area, which I did with somebody else who was also a member of the business network. And I just loved it from day one. I just thought, this is it. I was in flow, and I talked about in training, talked about being in flow, and I thought I was, but I wasn't. It's the business network I'm in flow. Well, the first thing I did was look at the back bedroom and decide, if I'm doing this, I'm doing it properly. So the bed went, the wardrobes went, and I put in, I replicated what was my office, even had the leather swivel chair. So it was a fully functional office. I had my whiteboard, I had my targets, I had everything that I used to do. And then came the biggest challenge, because I couldn't phone Siemens and Kellogg's, who were my clients, with confidence. I had a complete and utter wobble. And when I worked it out, I valued me as a bona fide businesswoman trainer when I was in swanky offices in Salford Quays, and I didn't value me working from a home office. And I got over it by getting dressed up for the office every day. It didn't last long. I was soon able to make sales calls in my jammies, and no lipstick. Shocker. Um, But yeah, it's a switch of mindset, and I had to really think of when I um, converted clients, they bought me. They didn't buy the Salford Keys address. So once you get your mojo back, you're off and running. When I was a freelance trainer prior to the business network, I used the fact that nobody wanted to talk to me in August, December, and Easter, and booked chunks of time away from the business completely and totally. So I had something like 12 or 13 weeks holiday a year, which also coincided with the time that the family had a home abroad, and so we made use of it. As a freelance now, still, although it's a limited company, I'm still working alone. It gives you the opportunity, gives me the opportunity to, because I know what needs to be done and by when it needs to be done. And this week it's going to be 25 and 27 degrees and sunny. So you won't find me with a laptop or a desktop after lunchtime. And it doesn't matter that I got up at 5 o'clock, because that suits me. 5 till 7 is my time. Coffee, sit outside, get my head in gear. Then I hit whatever it is I need to do, the proactive bits that don't need client interaction. And then I've got the rest of the day to me. So, and it works well. That takes some guts. That took some guts 20 years ago, because everybody pre-COVID was very much in the mindset if you work 9 till 5 or 9 till 5:30. And if you sent an email after that time or before that time, it looked like you were a creep. Now everybody knows that, everybody works whatever hours they want to do. It's a lot more, the working day has become a lot more flexible, I think, across the board. But certainly as freelance, you can do that anyway. Plus, children's appointments, really important stuff like getting your nails done. You can do it when you want to do it. Moving on to COVID, which demolished the business overnight, I applied for can't even remember the name of the loan scheme now, bounce back loan, whatever it was called. And I thought, well, this can either keep me going or I can invest it in the business. And it was shit or bust time. So I applied it into the business, and I had a system developed. I worked very closely with a marketing professional who is sat in front of me, and put in place systems and really took the business seriously, as in, I can't not have an income, so we've got to, and I always think that the vast majority of entrepreneurs are the ones who perform best when the back is against the wall. When you're in a time when everything is bubbling along, you can become very complacent. And that's a great way to lose your business, because you can't stand still. If you stand still, you'll lose your business. So you've always got to be thinking about how you can diversify, bring more value to your customers, put your prices up, get more out of the customer base that you've got. That coincided with me being not very well and thinking about, I actually need some help here. Pink Spaghetti are a professional virtual assistant company. And what they bring to the table is they are doing things with other people. So in the same way that I choose marketing people, PR people, an accountant, because they all know much better than me, then I hired a VA because they know more than me. And what they did is what I say to everybody who I choose to work with: this is what I want, you go and do it. So the only thing I asked of Pink Spaghetti was that every process that they develop is recorded. So I've now got this is how to do the business network. So if I went under a bus um, or sold it, then it has more value than me just pootling along, making things up as I go along. So we got processes, and everybody knows what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And that was that there is a period of 3 months when you engage with a company like Pink Spaghetti. There's a period of 3 months where actually there's much more work on you, because you have to think about what it is that you know, because you're at an unconscious competence level. You just do it. So I had to really go back to my conscious incompetence to work out why we do these things. And it's also a good process because it gives you permission to throw out the things that you don't actually need to do. You've just done them because you've always done them. But unless they bring a result, or unless it's for a purpose, there's no need. So it was a really good exercise. It was hard work, but I've reaped the benefits ever since then. And because they know how I work, they have the freedom and the motivation to come to me and say, have we thought about doing this? No, do it. And if you don't allow people that you work with to come up with their own ideas, um, it's it's the well, it's a way to close your business, because you've got to allow people who you work closely, whether they're fully employed or on an associate basis, you've got to allow them to flourish. And the only way you flourish is by having a truly coaching, open questioned conversations with people. From a people-facing business to not being able to meet people in business. And at the time, Zoom and Teams, nobody had heard of them, but Teams wasn't invented. Zoom was very new to the marketplace. Nobody really knew much about it. And I phoned our members to try and keep in touch. And one of them said, "Why don't you go online?" And that filled me with absolute horror, because I'm a technophobe. And I'm very happy to say I'm a technophobe. It's just not my bag. So I'd rather work with somebody who tech is their bag. And a small number of members said, yeah, it's a great idea, and worked really hard with me over and above and beyond on a free of charge basis to help me get online. And I will always remember them. And I praise them for it, and I tell people about it at every opportunity. COVID was a horrible time, but what it did for the business network was, in the early stages, just a handful of people came, and then the word spread and some more came. Those who were having the nervous breakdown didn't. And then this layer, the first tier, had their nervous breakdown on month 3 or month 4, by which time we had new people in. So everybody went away and had their crisis and then came back. And then they said they didn't want monthly ones, they wanted weekly ones. And so I worked harder and longer hours for no money than I ever have done. And in 2020, My income was £400 for changing my bank account from NatWest to Starling. I got a dowry for that. And the following year, I got something off Bury Council, which was not advertised. Somebody told me, told me, and I chased and chased and chased for it, and I got £1,000 the following year for the previous year. But and then I got the bounce back loan, and as I say, it was either going to be spent on me to keep me going, or it was going to be spent on the business. So had it been spent on me, it would have been gone, and I've been paying it back still now with nothing, no business. So, yeah, it was a time of great learning. But until you gain your confidence and you are in flow, it's very easy to agree with the customer on everything that they want when you know on a practicable level it's not going to work. So I shoehorned so much into a half-day overview that it didn't work on any level, and I was then slated for it. And I took it on the chin. What I would say now is, well, you asked, well, no, I wouldn't even take it on now, but I took it on the chin and I thought I will never, ever do something that I know is not going to work because the customer doesn't want to pay a full day. And worse still, I had to chase and chase and chase for that invoice to the point that I said, I'm coming down to the office and I'm sitting in reception until you pay me. And then I got it. But I would never work with that company again, and I would never work with anybody who wants to ram so much into a day that it's not learning. May as well just go out and buy a leadership book and read it. So that's a big one. So be strong enough. Oh no, you don't even have to be strong. Go with your gut feel. If your gut says no, don't do it. It's it's the only thing you've got. You are you. And be you. Be proud of you. Always open to learning. That doesn't mean that you're arrogant in any way. But I'm I like having fun. So I always have fun with people, and hopefully our events are fun, and certainly that's the feedback. But I did get a guest who came along when I phoned him afterwards, after the event, inviting him to join. He said, yeah, the event was okay, but I could have done with less entertainment and more business talk. And I said, well, then you're better off staying at Manchester. It is very easy to be seduced by invoice payments and see them stack up. And you do have to remember that nobody wants to talk to you in August or December or half of April. So you then need to look at your own industry, whatever you're going to freelance in or whatever your area is, and know when your peaks are and know when your troughs are, and budget accordingly. Keep your blooming sticky fingers off it. So I'll start with what it does give me, and what it gives our members, more importantly, is the fact that they have committed to membership means they're invested in um, in networking. And I always let people know that as well as being able to come along to our monthly events, they get me in that. So some people choose to tap into me, some people don't, and that's absolutely fine. I don't force myself on anybody. But what it gives me is that people are likely to be your customer for 12 months. And at the end of that 12 months, unless their circumstances have completely changed, they've changed their business, they've left the company, they are more than less likely to stay with you for year 2. One of the things I learned actually as a sales trainer by developing people to say, look at your customers as a lifetime value of a customer and not as a transaction. If you treat them as a transaction, there will be a transaction. If you look at them as a growing relationship, and I think, yes, I'm charging them a membership fee, but actually I'm going to learn as much from them as they are from me and our process and our way of doing things, then you have a different head on it. You have completely and utterly got a different head on it. I also do a lot of mental preparation in terms of event and going into one-to-ones and meeting our members. And the mental preparation is, for a monthly event, I fall in love appropriately with everybody in that room. Even if I've had to chase them for payment, which happens, then on that day, I adore them as a friend. And I think when I say fall in love, the word appropriate is the key word there. And that sends a message to people, and they send it right back to me that they're important and they're valued and I'm interested and the group is interested in them. A good accountancy package like Xero, integrated with your database system, which in my case is also a booking system, and definitely Calendly. In the old days, we used to phone people up to, so can you make next Tuesday 11 or 12, and it's 2 or 3 emails or a 5-minute conversation. And now I invite people to come and meet me, and it's just by Calendly, so they choose a time to suit them. What I do when I send out a Calendly invitation is use we words. I've noticed that when people send Calendly invitations, they say, check my availability. And that's how I take it. Check my availability. And I immediately want to say no. What I purposely do is, please check our joint availability. That means your time is as important as mine. Book a discovery call with me. No. There are different ways you can say that but I am a bit obstinate, not, you can invite me, but never tell me. You can invite me to learn, but don't tell me I'm thick. You can invite me to a meeting, don't tell me I'm coming. It's my decision. I had a LinkedIn profile in 2009 and I didn't use it until 2020. And we all know what happened then. And working with marketing professionals, you included, and then what I did do was use a portion of the bounce back loan, not just for the system, for marketing, fresh ideas. So work with a marketing professional, get their idea, try, but don't do everything. Do something that feels right to you, gets the people who you want to be in front of. In Lancashire, we're spoiled. We've got the Lancashire Business View. Other areas will have their magazine, and they've got a very low cost entry point in the Wednesday Weekly. And I've also done articles there. It is a paid process, and in isolation, it won't work. LinkedIn in isolation won't work. Marketing campaign in isolation won't work. So it has to be a wider picture. It has to be strategic, and that's where people like you come in. You need somebody to help you with a strategic plan. And beware the marketing professional. If people automatically look at you and look at your collateral and say, well, you need a new logo, you need a new design. You might do down the line, but go with what you've got. Don't be put off by what a professional has to say to you. A true professional will say, where are you? Where do you want to be? What's the budget? How can we best get you there? And those are the key questions. If a marketing professional, like any of your professionals that you're going to surround yourself with, if they don't ask you, first of all, questions, and if they just spout what they can do, don't touch them with a barge pole. Let them demonstrate that they are interested in your business, they have an understanding of it, and that they genuinely want to work with you. If you plan for it forever and a day and go about it the way you would planning a family, we haven't got enough money to do it this year, we haven't got enough money to do it that way, you'll never do it. If you have a passion and if you have the confidence and the expertise, just do it. There's nothing like your back being against the wall to get you going. Something that I learned very early on, the biggest mistake I ever did as a freelancer was accept a 3 day a week contract for 18 months because obviously they wanted me Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Monday and Friday is not the best day to develop your own business. And whilst you can see the security, you just dig in a huge hole for yourself 18 months down the line. Which is why I speak with confidence about don't work, don't care. I know that some people have found comfort in keeping their full-time job, just reducing their hours while they build up their business. And if it works for them, absolutely fine. That wouldn't be my advice. Yeah, confirmation of my bounce back ability because I've been floored twice in my business life, and I'm talking about the worst possible things that can happen to you in business have happened to me twice. In different, that doesn't mean to say I didn't learn from the first time. One was in my control, but through naivety, and one was out of my control. And after the event, and I can look back when I've stopped feeling sick about those situations, I've been able to think, yeah, you did it. Not only did you just bounce back, but you went up again. And it's, some people call it grit and determination, but I always think that sounds like you, and it isn't that. It sometimes it can be a lot quieter than that. You know, it doesn't have to be loud. It's just very quiet. But the fact that, again, coming back to when your back's against the wall, that's when you become the most creative.